Okay.
All right, Zach, have you heard about this case, U.S. versus Duarte, out of the Ninth Circuit? This is that case involving where the Ninth Circuit, a three-judge panel said that just being a felon does not mean you lose your Second Amendment rights. Have you heard something about this case?
I did. I honestly haven't read it, but I did. I've read a couple of summaries of it, so
Yeah.
I'm familiar with it, but not in depth.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So look, this is a very there's a lot of obviously gun cases ever since the Supreme Court came out with Bruin, right? So we look at text, history, tradition, and so forth. And the cop says, "Look, I work in Arizona, so this is covered by the Ninth Circuit. Are we now no longer allowed to even make an arrest for a prohibited possessor, right, under state or federal law? Oh, or if we're not, do we take the guns? Do we take the ammunition? So I understand the confusion. So it's like, all right, look, we got this Duarte case, which I don't know what Duarte was, what his felony was, right? But it was something nonviolent, right?
Okay.
And the panel said, look, you just don't lose your Second Amendment rights forever just because you're convicted of a nonviolent crime. And that to me is the right answer. I mean, for legal purposes, I think that ultimately the Supreme Court is going to agree. I think they talked about that in a Rahimi case that just came out where Rahimi was
Yeah.
a violent person and he was disarmed, and but they did talk about kind of like, hey, that's violent people can be disarmed, but nonviolent people, they didn't get into detail about it, but you can see the language in there that it opens the door to the argument that nonviolent felons may not be able to be disarmed under the Second Amendment, which is the right answer. But that's above our pay grade. But the point is, what are these cops supposed to do, right? I mean, they want to comply with the Constitution, but they also want to do their job. What do if you're a cop in the Ninth Circuit? And Duarte is good law right now. The case has not been, remanded or and so forth. What advice do you have for these cops?
Yeah, I mean these are tough cases, and I think I think one cases like Duarte and Rahimi, they point out some of the difficulties with Bruin and the analysis you're supposed to undergo.
Hmm.
The concept of a felon was a lot different back in the early 1800s and even right after Civil War. So
Yep.
there's that, but it's very it doesn't leave a lot of guidance for officers. And I think at the end of the day, I think both of you and I agree. This is a question for your prosecutor. How do you interpret this Duarte case as far as what are we willing to prosecute moving forward when it comes to felons in possession in our jurisdiction? Because it's a very, very unsettled, constantly changing and evolving area of the law. That you and I, obviously you and I are not anybody's personal attorneys, professional
Yep.
attorneys. So,
Yep.
I think this is definitely a perfect case to defer to your prosecutor and say try and get some guidance from them. And I think they owe their officers some guidance in this regard.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I don't think that any courts at this point, right, until they get more clear, make the law more clear. I don't think they expect cops to analyze Bruin and
Yeah.
Duarte on the scene. And, oh, wait a minute. So you were convicted of welfare fraud. That's not a violent crime. So therefore, you get to keep your gun today. That's not the. If it says they're a felon, I think most prosecutors are like, hey, look, we'll handle it on our end if they want to
Mhm.
challenge it. But you're not going to be able to get it from some guys on YouTube, right? This is
Right.
such a complicated issue. You can't analyze this at the street level. This has to be done at the judicial level, right? The court's gonna have to make this decision. So
Mhm.
I'm sorry we couldn't give you a clear answer. And again, if you guys know me, you know that I'm a huge Second Amendment advocate, right? I think that Duarte was rightly decided, but it's not. It's even above my pay grade, right? If I was working as a cop right now, even with all the knowledge I have about the Second Amendment, I'm not even qualified enough to make that decision on the street. So just do your job the way that your agency wants you to, and I think that's the best advice. Anything else, Zach?
No, I agree. In-house counsel, prosecutor. Go
Exactly.
to
That's
the
the right. Ask them. And so, if you guys like what we're doing here, like, subscribe, hit the share with your friends and so forth, and we'll see you guys next time. Stay safe.
Thanks.